Welcome to Dave's Pet Show. This is very exciting because we are shooting on a brand new camera, which only took, we had the B team filming today. It took about 3 hours to set up the camera. And this is show number 370. So I don't know, this is like 16, 17 years that we've been doing this show, something like that. But the real important part, folks, is we have Nervous Amy with us. Who's never done this before. She's heard rumors. Some of her predecessors have done this. But let me introduce you to Amy and tell you a little bit about her. Amy works for one of my favorite companies, Wellness, and I'm going to go through a little history of my relationship with Wellness.
Sure, a little longer than mine.
Right, which started probably 30 years ago.
Wow.
When Jim Scott, the original owner, came into my store, and his babies were my baby's age, and we all went to IHOP for dinner, for pancakes with the kids, and we've been selling Old Mother Hubbard. I think it was the first professional food that I ever carried in the store, before Iams, before all of them.
Sure,
so
wow,
I don't even
that's
think
great.
you were born yet.
Yeah, well.
Close,
close.
Baby,
very
baby,
close,
baby.
Yes.
But so anyway, I think Jim was just a visionary, to say the least.
Sure.
To come out with the Wellness brand. I mean, this guy single-handedly, folks. I mean, you look at him, and he looks like a real nitwit. We're going to send this to him, and he doesn't look like.
I love that.
Right, he'll love it. Right, I had lunch with him last week, but the brightest guy in the history of the world, probably. So, why I like Amy is one of our best reps, but Amy is also very focused on nutrition. And so anyway, I want to bring Amy on and talk about a few of the products that, really why you're with Wellness.
Sure, absolutely.
So my big deal is, because we see this all the time when people come in the store, is dogs and cats with diabetes, too many carbs, just like with humans, overweight animals and stuff, and you guys have a wonderful solution for that problem.
Yeah.
So speaking to the mic, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what we have?
Sure.
And you know what? I'll hold said product.
Okay, great. I have a helper. That's
yes.
Great. So yes.
They call me Vanna.
Okay, Vanna. Perfect.
Yes.
So you're right, Dave. I mean, I think one of the biggest issues today with pets relates very similarly to some of the problems and concerns we have with humans. And one of the things that's great about the Wellness brand is that we really believe in preventative care through good nutrition. And I am very passionate about this.
I know you are.
I studied it quite a bit relating to humans, but a lot of it, again, is very similar. So you had mentioned some of the problems and concerns. Overweight pets is one of the most common concerns, but then we even get into feeding foods that may have additional ingredients that aren't absorbable and usable by the dog or cat's body. So what we've done in some of the foods that we're going to talk about today, and what he's holding here is our Core brand. And what Core is, it's a completely grain-free formula. This particular formula uses 3 protein sources. So it's a chicken, turkey, and fish-based formula. And basically what we've done in here is we have increased the protein slightly, very moderate levels of protein. And that's important because you do want to make sure that the proteins are very digestible. There's no ingredient in here without a purpose. It does eliminate the grains, which again, talking about excess carbs, can do all sorts of things. Certainly put on extra weight, slow down metabolism, give them a little less energy, many of the same things that we deal with. So this particular formula as well does have slightly lower amounts of fat, which is important as well. Of course, we all know fats is certainly not good for any of our bodies.
Well, certain fats are, though.
Certain fats are, absolutely.
Right.
So when you're talking about fish fats or omega-3, we do add that in this formula.
Did you like that little segue, how I did that?
It's perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Omega-3 fatty acids. So there are good fats versus bad fats, but what this formula does is have both moderate levels of protein and fat. So everything in here is usable, absorbable, and very digestible.
In the scheme of things, is this a lower carb food than a run-of-the-mill? Because, you know as well as I do, the grain-free thing can be a crock of dog biscuits if they load it up with other starches. Because it's really about the starches, not about
Sure.
right?
Yep, sure.
Right.
So what they've done in this particular formula is, you're right, it is grain-free, but there can be underlying other reasons to have carbs in a food. We do have to use some type of carb. We use potato in this formula to bind all of the meats and vegetables together, and that's important. But because you do still want it to have certain texture to hold
Plus
together
you can't
for
make
a
a
kibble.
dry food if
That's
you,
sure,
you
of
gotta
course,
have it.
of course. But in the grand scheme of things, you're right. There is very minimal carbs in here, which again is going to turn into much more absorbable nutrients for the dog's body, and that's what this particular formula does.
Folks, one of the reasons that I love this food is, if your dog is overweight, instead of switching to a light diet, which I can't stand, I don't know how you feel, if you switch to a food like this, the dog eats less, and it's just basically fewer calories in. Period. The calories are more efficient, right?
Sure.
So the dog loses weight as long as you don't give him too many treats.
Yep. Basically, our whole philosophy in all of our wellness foods, but this particular formulation, is that every ingredient has a purpose. There are no fillers. There's nothing excess. So it's thought out to the degree that everything that goes into this formula is something that you can recognize, you can relate to. It's something that you wouldn't question any ingredient on here. We use such things as flaxseed for some of those healthy oils. Again, potato is the only carbohydrate
you just reminded me,
source.
I forgot to take my flaxseed pill this morning.
Yeah, those are great for humans too, but I used to have to take some flaxseed and hold my nose because it is a little bitter, but the pill form is a lot better. So this particular formula also comes in an ocean-based formula, which I am a huge fan of. So one of the things that has kind of changed in the industry is using fish proteins for an excellent protein source. You do get the good fats that we were just talking about, and it's extremely digestible. It digests 3 times faster than any poultry or lamb or beef. So as a protein source, this is a completely fish based diet. It excludes any type of poultry from the formula. Very, very digestible. Also excellent for any potential allergies, which is another.
This is another really important thing I want you to validate for me, because I always tell my customers this. You want meal rather than the whole meat. Well, explain why.
Okay, so there are 2 different types of protein sources. Okay, so you can get fresh meat, right? And then you can get meals. And there has been some confusion out there about meals, okay? Because typically, I think the misconception is that meals are associated with a lesser quality protein source. And folks, that is not the case at all. What I want to talk about is that fresh meat certainly has benefits, because you are going to get some enzymes, you are going to get some benefits in fresh meats, okay? But high quality meals will be more beneficial, because what they've done is they've removed the moisture from there. It's basically a dehydrated meat and partially defatted in some circumstances.